Hey everybody, this week on the Darren Show, it's another musical movie review. And it's the Beatles, what can I tell you? So we're going to talk about A Hard Day's Night and Help. Now, Hard Day's Night came out in 1964, and I like it better than this one. It's kind of weird because this was low budget. The American record company, for one, they were sort of like, we'll try to sell the soundtrack to make money back from this film, which is probably not going to make any money. And then it did really well. It cost them like $5 million in today's dollars, $5 million, and made like $142 million again in today's dollars. I think in their time, it cost like 500,000 pounds and made like 21 million pounds or something, whatever it was. I don't speak pounds. So, Hard Day's Night. This is sort of like a day in the life, or 36 hours in the life, the Beatles as they're preparing for a television show. And so that's really cool. Now, of course, I got both of these at the library, but you can get them wherever you get your DVDs or stream your movies or whatever. I like this a lot. It was shot in black and white. Then, because they made so much money on it, they had a higher budget. Same director, Richard Lester. Same director for both of them. But because of the money that they made on this one, they got to do one in color and had a little bit more of a story. But it's, as is often the case, somebody does really well with their first album, and then they have a whole bunch of money to work on their second album and it's not as good. Or a baseball player has a really good season, so they pay them a lot more. And it's like they should have paid them more for the season and they're doing really well. Then they pay them well and they don't do so well. Anyway, this is a musical comedy film from 1964 starring, of course, the Beatles. Like I said, it portrays 36 hours in the lives of the group as they prepare for a television performance. This was a commercial and critical success. Listen to these songs, because this is what I love. You got The Hard Day's Night, obviously. Should Have Known Better. I Want to Be Your Man. Don't Bother Me, which is a George Harrison song. All My Lovin'. If I Fell. Can't Buy Me Love. And I Love Her. I'm Happy Just to Dance With You. This Boy, Ringo's theme. Hard Day's Night instrumental, Can't Buy Me Love reprise. Tell Me Why, She Loves You, and the closing credits, Hard Day's Night. The amazing thing, this was actually nominated for a couple of Oscars. It was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, but none of the songs were nominated for Best Original Song for a Movie. Can you believe that? All these Beatles songs on here? So that's kind of crazy. Another interesting thing about this one, this is where George met Pattie Boyd. She plays a schoolgirl on the train that they're on, and within like 18 months, they are married in real life. So that's cool. The Beatles chose the guy that they wanted to write the screenplay because they were familiar with a play he had done in 1959, No Trams to Lime Street, and he had shown an aptitude for writing in the group's native dialect. And he followed them around for a while and tried to put the words that he would catch them saying something, and then he would put their words into the movie. In fact, something like Ringo saying in an interview, somebody said, "Are you a mod or a rocker?" And he says, "I'm a mocker." And that showed up in the movie. Paul's grandfather is the only person that's really in the movie. There's a couple of guys that play like their managers or whatever. But Irish actor Wilfrid Bramble was chosen as Paul McCartney's fictional grandfather in the movie, John McCartney. And he was well known to British television audiences as a co-star in a sitcom called Steptoe and Son. And the recurring joke in this movie, they called it, he's a clean old man, was because in the TV show, this particular actor was always referred to as a dirty old man. He's a dirty old man. So it's kind of an inside joke to, he's very clean. He's a clean old man. So that's kind of cool. A little inside joke. They were having a little fun there. Mal Evans, one of the Beatles' road managers, he appears briefly in the film. He's coming through a hallway with an upright bass, and Lennon's talking to a woman who mistakes him she's like, she thinks he's John Lennon, but he's not. And that's kind of a funny little back and forth that they have, because she's like, no, you don't look like him. And he's like, no, that's not me. And it would just, there's a lot of cute little things in there that really capture the Beatles of that time period and their attitude. They're kind of snarky and kind of really confident, a little bit, you know, anti-establishment, you know, we don't care about the Queen and blah, 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 you know. Now, as I said, the reviews for this were mostly positive. The Village Voice actually deemed it the Citizen Kane of jukebox musicals. I love that they incorporated the songs in with the story, and that was cool. Now, when we go to the Help, I tried to get a little bit more of a story. As I say, Hard Day's Night was, let's follow the Beatles around, and in fact, they almost called the movie Beatlemania, because it was just like the girls chasing them and them running around and going crazy. Then we get to this, and they're trying to do a spoof of James Bond type of films. It's shot in color because they had more money. They made enough money off of Hard Day's Night that they had a little bit more of a script. Ringo is being pursued by this cult that wants to sacrifice him because he accidentally has a ring that it would, whoever wears that ring is sacrificed. And it's convoluted, and quite honestly, I started fast forwarding, and then I would stop on just the parts where they would play music. The music in Help is really great. And in fact, this is thought of as a precursor to MTV. It was the first time that they really filmed music videos. And this wasn't just a band standing on a stage pretending to play air guitar or whatever. So these are little miniature music videos inside here. And I started just kind of, fast forwarding. There is a funny running joke. Mal, the road manager, who did appear in Hard Day's Night briefly, he plays a swimmer that comes up. He's swimming in the channel, and in fact, he comes up and he's like, where is, God, I can't remember whether it's like, Tower Bridge or Big Ben or whatever, I don't know. And they're like, that way. And he's in the English Channel. Later on, because they had more money, the Beatles are like, well, can we go to the Bahamas? Can we go skiing? So they had a lot more money to go and visit various places. There's skiing. None of them had ever snow skied before, and they wouldn't let them take any lessons. And they just said, get out there and do it, and that'll be funny when you fall down and stuff. But anyway, Mal, the road manager, they end up in the Bahamas, and they're out on the shore, and here comes this guy that was swimming the English Channel, looking for Big Ben or whatever, and he comes walking out, and you see it from a distance, so you don't hear them this time, and you just hear him kind of like, you see him just kind of come up, and the four Beatles are standing there, and all four of the Beatles are just kind of like pointing like back that way, and he turns and walks back into the sea. So that was kind of a funny running joke. That's like just when they're just about, Ringo's going to be sacrificed there on the beach or whatever. And in fact, that's at the end of the movie that the ring comes off of him and he puts it on another person's finger, and then that person begins to get chased by the cult, and then the song Help comes on. But let me tell you some of the songs that are in the movie Help. We got Help, of course. You're Gonna Lose That Girl. You got Hide Your Love Away. Ticket to Ride. I Need You. The Night Before, Another Girl, She's a Woman, A Hard Day's Night, which on the U.S. soundtrack album, as it was titled as Another Hard Day's Night, but it was actually played by Indian musicians and as an instrumental medley comprising Hard Day's Night, Can't Buy Me Love, and I Should Have Known Better. I'm Happy Just to Dance With You was played by a different band during a bike riding scene. You Can't Do That was played as an instrumental during the Austrian Alps. Austria, that's right, that's where they went skiing, the Austrian Alps. And From Me to You was played as an instrumental during scenes of attempts to remove the ring from Ringo's finger while he sleeps in the Beatles' communal house. That was another kind of cool thing. They go and they're like going into 4 separate houses, and there's ladies across the street talking about, oh, look at them, they haven't changed, even they've got fame and money and everything, and they're still, good boys. So they each walk in 2 separate doors which you then find out on the inside are one giant house, and with crazy things like a soda machine on the wall, and John walks down into a little pit, like a living room furniture pit that is downstairs in the living room, and just all kinds of interesting little things. The pop style of Help, and the being in the color and everything, of course it looks cool. Again, I sort of fast forwarded through a lot of it as we got into it. I was like, the story of Ringo having this ring and this cult, which is just a little bit racist. I think they were trying to be like Indian, and so that depiction of Indian culture was a little bit racist. But anyway, the theme, the pop art style, sort of influenced TV series like Batman, the 1960s Batman, and also the contemporary advertising of that time. So once again, the Beatles influencing things. After this, they did not have a good time, which is surprising because they got to go to Austria and ski, they got to go to the Bahamas and hang out, but they didn't have a good time filming this as much as they did filming Hard Day's Night. So they were really not into making another movie. They had a 3-picture deal they were supposed to do, ended up doing Yellow Submarine in 1968, and in fact, they didn't even voice their characters in Yellow Submarine. That was actors, and then the Beatles show up at the end of Yellow Submarine in person as sort of like a cameo, and they figured that wraps up our 3-picture deal. So these 2 movies are pretty much it as far as Beatles movies. It's not like Elvis where you can go and see like 25 Elvis movies, but pretty influential. I loved Hard Day's Night. This is definitely, watch this all the way through. It's good. The songs are great. The action is awesome. It's kind of cool to see like Pattie Boyd before she became George Harrison's wife and the inspiration for songs, and Eric Clapton's wife, inspiration for songs. That was kind of cool. And if you know the actor that plays Paul's grandfather was a dirty old man in the TV show, which you do now, and then you hear everybody keep referring to him as cute little stuff like that. But so I give this, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, okay? Help, 3.5 out of 5. For the music sequences, let's do that's 5 out of 5, because when they did the songs and the videos involving the songs, that's 5 out of 5. But the story and everything else, 3.5. I mean, I know it gets a little bit for the pop, the look, its color. The Beatles are obviously very good in it. Ringo especially is pretty good little actor, but I don't mean little, but just he's a pretty good actor. But yeah, so check him out. Hard Day's Night, Help. It's worth a shot. If you haven't seen him in a while, or if you've never seen him, get him from the library or whatever, like I do, and check it out. If you're a Beatles fan, you gotta watch these movies, So it's good stuff. That's all I got for you today. Come on back, and I might have some Beatles album reviews. I should do that. Rubber Soul and Revolver are favorites of mine, so I'll probably review those. I mean, it'd be easy to go, let's talk about the White Album or Abbey Road or Let It Be, but I think if I do album reviews, it'll be for Revolver and Rubber Soul. So watch for that. Possible. You never know. All right. Thanks, everybody. This is the Darren Show. Thanks for watching. Have a great what have you.